Hey, I'm Red. How much do you guys love r/entitled parent stories? Let me know in the comments, because that's what I'm reading today. Okay, here we go. My mum is calling me selfish and lazy because I won't force my daughter to dance. My daughter started dance 2 years ago when she was 3. My mum and sister got in her head while on a sleepover about being a ballerina and how my niece does dance and how adorable she would look in a pretty dress. My daughter loves dresses and my niece, so she agreed to it, without my consent. When I found out, my daughter seemed so excited, so I gave in. The dance school does classes for jazz, ballet, and tap for little kids, and she really wanted to do ballet, so I signed her up. The instructor looked at me and said if I wanted her to do ballet, she has to do jazz too. Whatever. She could wear her ballet shoes for jazz, so it's not like I had to get a whole other outfit. 3 weeks in and she hates jazz, loves ballet, but when it's time for jazz, she starts crying and wants to go home. I tried to pull her out of jazz and only do ballet, but was again told she can't just do ballet. She either needs to suck it up or quit completely. She was 3. My mum somehow convinced her to continue dancing while on yet another sleepover, and everything was fine until it came time for the mid-year concert. She saw her pretty dresses and was ecstatic until it was time for hair and makeup. She kicked up a huge fuss about it, but was fine when we finally got home after 6 hours and I was able to wash that stuff off. This all happened again at the end of the year, where she got a trophy for perfect attendance. 2020 was similar, with dance lessons going to Zoom in March. Although around May, she said she didn't want to do dance anymore. She hated being told what to do, wanted to make up her own dances instead. Typical 4-year-old stuff. I told her if she could make it to the mid-year concert, she could quit just after so they wouldn't have to rearrange the dances so close to concert time, which she agreed to. She was super happy leading up to the concert because she knew she wouldn't be back. However, on yet another sleepover with Nanny, she was again convinced to continue so she could get her trophy at the end of the year. She had a somewhat miserable July to November, still saying how she didn't want to do it, but wanted Nanny to be happy and see her get her trophy. Every week my daughter complained about going, and my mum believed that I was putting it in my daughter's head that dance was horrible and that I didn't want to take her or couldn't afford it, blaming me for my daughter not wanting to do something. In front of my mum, I point blank asked my daughter if she really wanted to do dance, and she said no. She didn't like it, and she wants to do her own thing, etc. Apparently that wasn't good enough. End of year concert comes around, and again she's excited to be done with it all. I tell the instructors not to reserve a spot for my daughter the next year, since she wouldn't be back, and they were a little pissed, but whatever. Concert is over, trophies handed out, it's time to head home. Sweet, no more dance. I messaged the instructor mid-January to remind her not to save us a spot. She wrote back, "But she's already signed up for the year. Your mother told us last year you wanted her to keep dancing." "Nope, don't save us a spot, she's not coming." Then I called my mum. "Why did you sign my daughter up for dance without talking to me first? We've already talked about this, she doesn't want to go." "Nonsense! She's 5, she doesn't know what she wants. Besides, she looks so adorable in those cute costumes and makeup." "She doesn't want to go. She's been complaining about it for the last 8 months. The only reason she finished the year was to make you happy."
"You're just saying that because you can't be bothered getting off your lazy butt to take her. Every girl wants to be a ballerina. Why are you trying to take this away from her? You're being selfish."
"She doesn't want to go, and I'm not going to force her. I've already let the instructor know she's not going back and not to sign her up without my permission next time, if she ever decides to start dancing again." She continued to berate me for a while longer before I finally hung up on her. She then called my sister, who tried guilt-tripping me into forcing my daughter to dance. It's not going to happen until she wants to. I'll still take her to the concerts to see niece perform, but that's it. You know, dance should be joyful. It should make you feel, it shouldn't uplift you. It shouldn't fill you with dread. I hate people who force their kids to do things they don't want to do. So in this case, the grandma is awful, and the mum, you know, was trying to do the right thing by her daughter. So yeah. Okay, here's the next story. The time a couple of my employees were extremely mad at me for firing a disrespectful garbage waitress just because she has kids. I had this employee who was a woman in her late 30s or early 40s, and was your stereotypical mommy. I'm a good deal younger than her, and at the time I was like 26 or 27. Right away it became clear that she had an issue answering to a woman much younger than her. She talked back a lot and made it clear that she felt like she knew more than me and shouldn't have to listen to me when she disagreed. She would frequently bring up the fact that I had no kids and she had 4 to disregard my management abilities, as if it was in any way relevant. Here's just a couple of anecdotes of what I regularly dealt with from her. We had a problem with employees being on their phones excessively, her being one of the worst offenders. I did an employee meeting where I reminded everyone they weren't allowed to be on their phones at all, and we would be a lot more strict about it moving forward. She interrupted my speech to say, "Well, the problem is your generation can't handle being off their phones for more than 2 minutes." I pointed out she was on her phone all the time too, and her reply was, "It's different when I'm on my phone. I'm looking at things for my kids, not trying to hook up on Tinder or play Candy Crush." I told her the reason people were on their phones didn't matter unless it was an actual emergency, and she rolled her eyes. She tried to argue with me about the fact I would only schedule her during the day and not nights. Nights are more lucrative because customers buy more alcoholic drinks, thus higher tips. I reminded her that when she took the job, she was signing up specifically for day shifts, and most of my waitresses are college students and have class during the day, so there's not any flexibility with their scheduling requirements. She proceeded to yell at me that her desires should trump theirs because she's a mum and she needs more money than them, and slammed my office door shut behind her when I wouldn't cave. The final straw was that I heard from one of the waitresses, who I'm very close to, about how she would talk about how she didn't respect me as a manager and often brought up my lack of desire for kids. She would also apparently say things like, "I'm not going to take orders from someone who hasn't even matured past the 'I don't want kids' phase." Between the constant blatant disrespect and the fact she was a barely passable waitress anyway, I decided to fire her. 2 waitresses confronted me, telling me it was wrong of me to fire her, and begged me to give her her job back. They had no defense for her crappiness, only, "She has 4 kids." If she has 4 kids dependent on her, it's on her that she repeatedly treated her boss like total crap. It's not like I fired her over one incident. There were countless instances of horrid behavior and blatant disregard for authority that she openly and shamelessly stated was rooted in ageism and my maternal status. So yeah, it's a shame that her kids had to suffer for their mum's behavior, but that's her responsibility, and I have no regrets for throwing out the trash. Special treatment because of your situation? No, I don't think so. I am a mother, and I would never expect the boss to give me special treatment because I have kids. That's ridiculous. Those were some great r/entitled parent stories, read by me, Red. Please give the video a like if you enjoyed them, and don't forget to subscribe as well if you haven't done that already. Thanks so much, guys. Bye!